In progress.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvadi Vajarani Nirvisheshunyavadi Pashtat Deshikarani Pancha Kalpadara Vishnukrapa Sindhu Deva Jagati Danam Bhavanebhya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavranda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome everyone for the second session, Ayodhya, and today's topic is the topic of Jaya Shri Ram and Sita Ram. Yesterday we discussed about the Ayodhya, the place itself, the Shastric, the psychology, the historical reality, and the present excitement of the opening of the temple plus the installation of Ram Lalla. And we concluded that the temple gives the civilizational confidence. And at the same time, the connection to deity is supposed to help us explore our own spiritual journey. One develops our Shraddha and other develops our Dharma. With the same understanding, when we study Valmiki's Ramayana, when Lord Sri Ramachandra appeared, he appeared on the orders, request of the Devatas and the Rishis. And one of the core reasons why Avatar appears, Sri Vishnu, Sri Krishna appear with the intention of one thing. Yada yada dharmasya glani. Whenever there is a adharma and paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, very clearly proclaimed, protection of the saintly and the destruction, right, of the asadu. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam, right? Whether you take Lord Shiva or Lord Krishna, Lord Ramachandra, the harmony between destruction and positive construction, they never stop. It's a continuous reality. What is not good has to go away. What is good has to prevail and flourish. Right? And therefore, when we study the psychology of Valmiki Maharshi, there are many sages who come time to time. Imagine Bhumi Devi, when Mother Sita, this is the conclusion before we come to the beautiful connection between Sita Ram. In the conclusion of Ram Leela, her own mother Bhumi Devi had to follow something which is extremely painful. Sita Devi said, I am here to prove my credibility, and if I am completely pure, not done, not thought anything other than my Lord and Master Sri Ramachandra, everybody knew about this, right? So if I am completely pure, let Bhumi Devi take me back to her own place. Now Bhumi never wants Sita to be separated from Ram. Sita Ram can never be separated. But here Mother Sita Devi herself is proclaiming that if I have never had anything other than Sri Ram, let Bhumi Devi open and give me the space. Imagine if you are the Bhumi Devi, what you will do. The desire of Bhumi Devi is to unite Mother Sita with Lord Ram. But there is a greater reality to prove her credibility, which nobody wanted in one sense, right? So the so-called separation had to happen so that eternally Sita Devi's credibility had to be proven, and it was proved at the cost of Sri Ramachandra experiencing greatest pain and separation. When Sri Ram becomes away from Mother Sita, when he becomes Ram alone without Sita, read the Valmiki's Ramayana. The outburst of Lord Ramachandra, the anger of Lord Ramachandra, the emotions which are presented by Valmiki Maharshi, the rasas what he presents, there is a uproar of separation, vipralamba bhav. And generally the vipralamba bhav, when it is manifested, it gives rise to helplessness. But Lord Ramachandra, rather than being helpless, he becomes powerful. He said, I will do everything. I will destroy this creation. I'll go anywhere. I'll make this upside down to get back Mother Sita. Because Sri Ramachandra without Mother Sita is incomplete, right? In one sense, he doesn't have that that sweetness, right? And therefore, when we go to Valmiki's Ramayana, the psychology of Valmiki Maharshi while narrating Lord Ram's pastime, what does he do? He appears in the beginning. Valmiki Maharshi is there. He has heard the story from Narad Muni in 100 shlokas, the entire Ramayana. Then he goes to the bank of the Tamasa Nadi, feeling pain because it is full of Karunaras. And as he taking his bath, his oblation, offering his oblation, and suddenly hears this cry of a bird, Krauncha Pakshi, crying for her husband. And Valmiki Maharshi utters the curse, condemning the hunter. And that shoka, that shapa, turns into beautiful shloka. And he compiles this entire Ramayana, right? Before compiling, of course, Brahmaji comes and Brahmaji explains, my dear Valmiki, this is ordained by the Supreme. It is my desire that it was not shapa, it is the beautiful shloka. We should compile Ramayana. And the foundational principle of Ramayana is full of Karunaras. And the great Valmiki Maharshi, when he narrates, there is a unjustified word in one of the parva, on one of the kanda. It is called as Bala Kanda, and Bala Kanda has no stories of Lord Ramachandra. You know, when we see the stories of Sri Krishna, Bala Krishna, hundreds of stories. Even the folk tales, for that matter, are not showing any sign of giving any stories of Lord Ram. With Krishna, hundreds of stories are there. What happens in Balakanda? Eventually, in the Balakanda, suddenly our great Dashrath Maharaj is sitting. He is sitting for discussing about getting Ramachandra married. Valmiki Maharshi just rushes. Vishnu Purana says Valmiki Maharshi is also Vyasa, 28th Vyasa. Right? That Vyasa, the Valmiki Maharshi, he just moves forward, comes to the place where our great Dashrath Maharaj is planning for marriage of Lord Ramachandra, and suddenly what you see, the great Vishwamitra Muni is coming there. Now Vishwamitra Muni is not very welcome because he has this anger, right? So even though he's a sage, there is a anger which manifests time to time. Like some of the people, some of the sages, they are screaming, shouting, cursing about the Ram temple. I am supposed to be the boss. I should be made in charge, right? Openly saying all that stuff. They are worshipable, but the anger is also reality, right? When Vishwamitra Muni came, the only person who could handle Vishwamitra Muni was Vashishta Maharshi. If you read in the Ramayana, Vashishta and Valmiki, Vishwamitra Muni had a big fight, and all instigated by Vishwamitra Muni. Vashishta was always passive. So when Vishwamitra comes inside, you can imagine, and he has come with a great plan, a great idea. And his idea is to take Ramachandra away from Dasharath Maharaj, make him face the great Rakshasas like Subhahu, Marich, and Tataka. Now, these are not ordinary, you know, these are not ordinary Rakshasas. Like there is a conspiracy theory, right? In the world also. Some of the biggest hands which are not visible, they control. Imagine if you get to know about them and you take them on, face to face. I want to fight them. Nobody will support you. Then our Vishwamitra Muni is basically asking Dasharath to send his children, specifically Lord Ram, with him. And Dasharath Maharaj says, my dear sir, my son is very young. He is Rajiva Lochana. उसके आंखें जो है ना वो ताम्रनी है, राजीव लोचना. They are extremely delicate. They can only handle things which are very delicate. Right? Therefore, sometime it is explained in the Shastras, when you give a name to very delicate people, especially like a girl child, that you give them the name which is very easy to pronounce, only 2 words or 4 words, not odd numbers. It has to be easy to pronounce, so that even the pronunciation is so easy, it should not hurt her. So our Dashrath Maharaj said, my son is so delicate, is Rajiva Lochana, how can I send him? It is not possible. And Dashrath Maharaj said, I will not send, and I will come to offer my army and myself to fight. When you got to know these are not ordinary, right? There was a checkmate. Dashrath Maharaj could not defeat them, and they could not defeat Dashrath Maharaj. Therefore, Lord Ramachandra came. One of the main purpose of Lord Ram of coming to this world is to battle Ravana, right? It was an open declaration for the sages and the devatas. I am here to destroy Ravana, who was very powerful. So Dasharath Maharaj, by denying Lord Ramachandra to go with Valmiki's Vishwamitra Muni, and not able to fight those people, because Vishwamitra Muni, he will not fight. And one of the Sri Vaishnava commentator writes, there are two things, Nastikvad and Manavata, right? Trying to minimize the position of the Supreme Brahman, thinking him to be ordinary. It was born out of affection, no doubt. It's a Vatsalya ras. It was covered by Yoga Maya. But in regards to Vishwamitra Muni, he didn't get into all the technical details. Oh, you're doing it because you're affectionate. For this, Vishwamitra Muni was an unforgivable offense. He couldn't handle this. Therefore, minimizing the position of Supreme Brahman, making him as an ordinary personality. Right? There was one debate amongst the those who wanted the Ram temple to be built. One Sitaram Goyal, I narrated, he has written a book called as What Happened to Those Temples. He explains that one logic the Hindu group used is that any religion, Abrahamic religion, Islamic religion, they have come from outside. Very clear. They're not from the native place. And Lord Ram is a native personality. He's our hero. So Sitaramji said there is one flaw in this. Sri Ramachandra is not a human. Certainly is a great hero. He acted as a human, but one has to understand that he has a limitless power. He is a supreme Brahman. आपके प्रेम के कारण, because of your love, because of your affection, because of your fear, because of your lack of understanding, if you make him ordinary, that is like coming closer to the concept of Nastikta only. Or Anishwaravad, more precisely. So it can happen when you are loving also. So Vishwamitra Muni said, okay, you don't want to give me your son? That's okay. I will go out. I will show. Then Vashishta Maharshi was the one. He said, no, wait. He chastised Dasharath Maharaj. And Dasharath Maharaj had to come out of his affectionate side and accept the power of Lord Ramachandra, who is capable of doing anything and everything. Right? So Ramachandra was sent with Vishwamitra Muni. And when Vishwamitra Muni moves out of the palace, taking Sri Ram and Lakshman, of course, Lakshman had to go along with him, just like पान के साथ में सुपारी जाएगा, पान के साथ में चुना जाएगा, वीणा के साथ में स्ट्रिंग जाएगा, vehicle के साथ में wheel जाएगा, right? All these things are natural consequences. So when Lakshman and Ramachandra started walking, now Sri Ram is a Eka Priya Darshana. He is so beautiful in walking. He is so fascinating when he sits also. Now Vishwamitra Muni was about to get something which he never imagined. Vishwamitra Muni was lying between the two brothers on the bank of the Shonit river, on the bare ground. दोनों के बीच में सोए हुए हैं. Such a Shuddha Sattva, right? The personification, the source of Shuddha Sattva on the one side and on the other side, his extension, his expansion. उसके बीच में विश्वामित्र मुनि सो रहे तो नींद कैसे आएगा, क्योंकि निद्रा is in the mode of ignorance. To sleep also one has to have some kind of ignorance. तमोगुण की आवश्यकता होती है. So when he lied down between the two Kumaras, he was fascinated to see their face. He was attracted by their face. And therefore, Vishwamitra Muni approved the name of Ram, which was given by his so-called competitor Vashishta. Kalidas ji explains, when Vashishta wanted to give a name to Lord Ram, Lord Ramachandra attracted Vashishta. Because what does he do? That Rama is so beautiful, is so attractive, that he entertains you by his beauty. He is the storehouse of happiness. So it was Lord Rama induced Vashishta to give the name Ram. Right? The name Ram. was spontaneously appeared from the mouth of Vashishta, induced by Lord Ramachandra only. And there Vishwamitra Muni approved that name. And therefore Vishwamitra Muni said, "Oh wow, what a beauty. It's my good fortune that I'm here to see these two beautiful children. I approve this name." And he said, "Why the hell I am a sage? If I was Kaushalya, Kaushalya is so fortunate. What tapasya she must have been done." And it was early morning, just before the sunrise, Brahma Muhurta. He chanted that famous verse, which is reverberating in all the places. Kaushalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate Uttishta Narasardullam Kartavyam Kartavyam Ahannikam. He said, "Get up." Whose son? He didn't call the son of Dasharath. ये जो नाम है ना, लीगल नेम, राइट? शंकर, मधुसूदन, भामरे, पाटिल, कावरे, कुलकर्णी, शर्मा, कांबळे, right? This is a legality name which is connected to the father. The substance is always connected to the mother. When you go to any temple in South India for that matter, it begins with Kaushalya Supraja Rama Purva Sandhya Pravartate. Right? Vishwamitra Muni established this spontaneously. So that Ram, when he woke him up, approved that name, glorified Kaushalya, expressed his anger a little bit to Dasharath Maharaj because he wanted to say, "Hey Dasharath, there is no contribution of yours in regards to giving birth to Ram because he is not born out of semen, right? He is born from that yajna, the Putra Kameshti yajna performed by that Shringi, the Rishya Shringa Maharshi, right? So this was the anger of Vishwamitra Muni, and that Ram, what does that Ram do? That Ram declares openly, indirectly to Ravan, "I am here, Ravan, to prove my power. You wanted that nobody can kill you, and you consciously slandered the power of the human being, saying that I don't want this benediction of man killing me or a monkey's killing me. That's not going to happen because I can manage them very easily." And therefore Sri Ramachandra comes in a complete human form. That was the first avatar, right? All other avatars are sometime coming for a short time. Narsinghdev, how long did he stay? It is like a proper surgery. A doctor comes, perform the surgery, disappears, you never get to see him again unless there is a second operation. His human side is not seen only. His surgical expertise are seen. Right? Yes, Parshuramji was there, but he was not complete because he lived as a sage, and there was a brutal killing of everybody 21 times. But and we don't get to see the stories of Parshuramji as growing up. But here Sri Ramachandra becomes completely human. Maryada Purushottam. Maryada is not limitation, Maryada is discipline. It is not a limitation, it is a discipline. If he was Maryada limited, when Lord Ramachandra was giving shelter to Sugriv, sorry, he was giving shelter to Vibhishan. When he gave that shelter to Vibhishan, then there was a question raised by one of the soldier, I think Sugriv only. He said, "My dear Lord, how can we give shelter to him? He is coming from the enemy's camp. and he can do anything to us. He can trample, he can destroy us. One has to understand Lord's compassion. The compassion of Lord Ramachandra has the capacity to handle the misuse of compassion. अपने दया का अगर कोई गलत उपयोग करेगा तो अपने क्षमता के साथ उनको नष्ट करने की जो शक्ति भगवान राम रखते थे. This we have to understand. That is the Ramayana, right? If you only focus on the sweetness aspect of Lord Ramachandra, of Ramayana, of Valmiki Maharshi, you are basically minimizing the power of Lord Ramachandra, which is depicted in the Ramayana, limitlessly. They are interconnected. The sweetness and the toughness, the kindness and the power to handle. Lord Ramachandra proclaimed, he said, what? If anyone tries to destroy anything, they misuse my compassion simply by the power of my thumb, I can destroy everything. यह राम, जय श्री राम, यही तो, that is the most powerful reality of Ram. Misuse, then you'll be destroyed. Right? I give you chance, but if you don't take that chance, then Samvara Shakti will come into place. Right? So therefore, when Vishwamitra Muni empowered Lord Ramachandra, gave him the weapons, and the first mission, surgical strike, Ramachandra had to do was to bring down a lady Rakshasi, right? Tataka. And Sri Ramachandra didn't want to kill a woman. He said, no, I don't want. I want to give her a chance. Because in the Shastras, very interesting, a woman can be warned, but cannot be punished. A स्त्री को चेतावनी दी जा सकती है, लेकिन दंड नहीं दिया जा सकता. Unless that woman start acting or is a Rakshasi. Valmiki Maharshi, Vishwamitra Maharshi had to tell Ram, now it is enough, shoot her. And then Sri Ramachandra brings her down, Tataka. Then he brings down Subhav. Then he uses marriage, right? Marriage was shot by the Manavastra. Manavastra means what? On a humanitarian ground, I will not kill you, I will dump you in a distant place. Right? And that arrow of Lord Ram, when it hit Marriage basically disguised himself never to come close to anywhere where Lord Ram was there. And when he met Ravan, when Ravan came to pursue Marichara, you should come and help me. You know what does he say? He said, whenever I remember Ram, what does he experience? He experiences that Ram is a Antaka. He's the killer. He's the destroyer. That's an important quality of Lord Ramachandra in Janastan Ram. As Ram, right? He's married to Sita Devi. You know that. But when there was a battle between Ramachandra and the 14,000 Rakshasas headed by Khar and Dushan, Sita Maya was made to stay in a corner place, in a cave. He said, you stay there and watch me. Ram cannot see her, but she can see. And within one muhurta, less than 40 minutes, that very Ramachandra proved the power of Antaka, Yuganta. It was like a pralay. 15-20 मिनट के अंदर 14,000 राक्षसों को नतमस्तक उनको नीचे गिराया. Finished them off. Right? So that is the side of Sri Ram. Right? When people chant Hara, Hara, Mahadev, that's a war cry. Jaya Shri Ram may not be a war cry, but it is a cry to increase one confidence for civilizational reality. It also purifies your heart. But to purify completely, to experience that affection, Sita Devi has to come, right? Sri Ram destroyed that 14,000 soldier instantly within no time. If you remember, at one point of time in Valmiki's Ramayana, Sita Maya had called Ram. She basically blasted him because Ram was not willing to take Sita Devi to the forest. He was giving many excuses, and Sita Devi was losing her temper, and eventually she said, I don't know whom did my father marry to. A man externally, but internally there is no manliness. Ram said, you are coming with me, Sita Devi. You are coming with me. I was only caring for your protection. That is my responsibility. And it is your responsibility to follow. To make you safe, to make you protected, to make you stable is my job. But if you want to follow me, that's your responsibility. And that time, because she indirectly ridiculed Ram out of affection, because of there is the mitrata between the husband and wife. When Ram killed 14,000 Rakshasas, it is explained by Valmiki Maharshi and other commentators. Sita said, she was the original thumb giver. He said, you are a complete man. You are powerful. I love you. She gave that. And how that happened? Because Lord Ramachandra proved his power, right? When he was fighting the Rakshasas during the Rama Ravana Yuddha, at one point of time, this is there in the Mahabharata, there was one army of Ravan. It was a Niji Sena, very powerful army. And this army was, in fact, every one of them was as powerful, at least appeared as powerful as Kumbhakarna. It's also like a Maya magic. And the Kapi Sena got scared, other than few of them. And it was also time for Lord Ram to show his limitless power. What did Lord Ram do? That same Ramachandra, when he saw this vast army of Ravan, when you see the fireball which is being circled around, when you move this fireball, what does it look like? That one fireball looks like many circles of fireball. Means it looks in the entire circle, like a many balls of fire making into a circle. So it is explained by Vyasadeva, where he was tempted to narrate the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. He narrated something which is not there in the Valmiki's Ramayana. He basically appeared as a Ram to every soldier he was facing Ram. Ram was here, Ram was there, Ram was in the front, Ram was in the back. Said, कहाँ जहां देखोगे Ram, 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 सब जगह में Ram नहीं बन गया था. And all the soldiers of Ravana, they lost within no time because Ram created delusion to them. Unke व्यक्ति को, their own soldier was seen as Ram, and they killed each other. And instantly the entire army was vanished. And the Kapis realized, we being here to help Ram is simply an instrument. There is nothing significant. And Purandar Das, one great poet from Kannada, he has written this song. Yallalli Rama, Allalli Rama. Yalli nodidaru Rama. Wherever you see, Ram is everywhere. So that is the power of Ram. As I said, it gives the confidence to move forward. Imagine that Valmiki Maharshi couldn't even chant Ram straight. Mara, 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 Mara. No? Right. Mar, Mar, Mar. Maro, Maro, Maro. Right. And that turned out to be Ram. And that Valmiki Maharshi, he became the compiler of the greatest literature. Not now, not tomorrow, as long as there is a prana in the सृष्टि. सृष्टि में जब तक प्राण है तब तक राम और राम की कथा रहेगी. Right? We are simply an instrument to observe the Ram temple, and those who understand, why would anybody take credit? Even if they take the credit, will that credit affect them? Oh, I am the doer. No, the great Kapi soldiers were not able to take that credit. So this is the Rama story. Power, courage, destruction for the cause of Dharma. The entire Ravana Sena was destroyed in no time. Right? Ravan was also given a chance to rectify. But when he did not change, Raman, without any hesitation, within no time, Ram ने उसको नष्ट कर दिया. इसलिए in the movies, right? Even the most educated people, most logical people, most scientific people, why do you think movies sell? One of the reason of movies selling is there is a unrealistic fights. Hero is fighting 25 people, hero is fighting 30 people, hero is fighting 40 people. Right? People don't close their eyes. They see it. They love it. They enjoy it. Because somewhere in the core of their heart, they want to experience something which is beyond humanness. Right? Ek aadmi, one person fighting 40 people is not possible only mathematically. Anywhere from anybody can come and throw a stone and kill you also. But every time hero rises, right, he faints, and his heroine calls him and he gets the life air and then he rises up and he fights. Same thing happens in Valmiki Ramayana also. Lord Ram came down, Lakshman came down, Hanumanji went there, brought this beautiful mountain itself. Hanumanji ne Parvati uta kar laya. Right? He revived Lord Ram and Lakshman. Huh? And again it happened with Lakshman also. Again, Lakshman is revived. Such a beautiful story. How stupid people are. Some so-called socialist who is the champion of downtrodden. He says, Dekho, Rama and Leela is full of injustice. When so many soldiers were killed, that time there was no Sanjeevani. That time there was no medicine only. It was only for the royalty. It was only for Lord Ramachandra. What kind of justice is this? Using everybody for their own, exploitation or their own growth. Stupid fellow, you don't read Ramayana, Valmiki Maharshi's Ramayana. It is explained after the war was over by the divine vision of Lord Ram. He's a Bhagavan. Again, understand he's a Bhagavan. Therefore, what did Lord Ram do? Everyone who was killed on the battlefield, wherever they were, by the Charan, the Amrita Drishti of Lord Ramachandra, everyone was revived except the soldiers of Ravan, because Ravan had a rule that anybody dies, that my people should not see the dead body of our people. That will discourage them. So they were stoned, they were tied with the stone and drowned in the ocean. So as much as Lakshman was revived, every soldier who contributed was also revived. As much as there is a power in Lord Ram to destroy, he has the sensitivity of a true man, right? Just like when Ram was fighting, he had a chariot driver, not Daruka, not Jatayu. not Garuda. And he had to manage his Matale, Indra chariot driver. It is just like after you drive in a Mercedes and somebody gives you a bullock cart. That is the difference between the speed of Lord Ram and Matale. So at one point of time, Lord Ram, he didn't chastise, he did not chastise Matale, but he asked him to speed up. Jaldi karo, jaldi karo. Then he realized actually Matale does not belong to me. Lord Ramachandra, in one sense, he begged forgiveness from Matale. This is the character. जितना heroism दिखाते हैं, जितना destruction दिखाते हैं, उतना sensitivity भी है. So the pure masculinity has the flavor of refined feminineness also, even during the battlefield. It is not only destruction, right? Therefore, in that Ram, that softness is there. Sita, that Sri, Jaya Shri Rama. Right? So let us come back to Vishwamitra Maharshi. Subaha, Tataka, and Marich was thrown away in a distant land, and from there they slowly come to the place. The killing of the Rakshasas were circumstantial, but bringing Lord Ram to the palace of Janak Maharaj was a constitutional. That constitutional reality had to be manifested in the earthly realm also through the marriage of Sita Kalyana. No? In the South India, people perform the Sita Kalyanam. You go and Google the song of Sita Kalyanam, is mesmerizing, most beautiful. Right? People now also, they use that song when their daughter or their son are getting married. Sita Kalyanam, Rama Kalyanam. Right? So then Vishwamitra Muni slowly brings them to Janak Maharaja's place. Ram has no clue about this. Lakshmana has no clue about this. When they come there, naturally Sri Ramachandra must have heard about the bow more than the beautiful daughter of Janak Maharaj. As a young boy, they are more interested in something which is more closer to them than the girls, right? If you study 40-50 years ago, both boys and girls had nothing to do with each other till they got married. Very rarely people would have love marriage. Boys were happy being in the boys' school. Boys were happy with their play. Boys were happy with their sports. The girls were never an issue. Never. Right? Nowadays, even in the third standard, when their masculinity is not developed only, there is so much of unevolved feminineness, feeling. Right? The feeling has to come at the right time. So therefore, Lord Ram was here. He had heard about this great bow, Shiva Dhanusha, right? And Vishwamitra Maharshi knew the story behind Shiva Dhanusha. What happens with that Shiva Dhanusha? If Ram touches that Shiva Dhanusha, Sita will also come. So therefore, only Lord Ram is like Parshuram. He has to have Mother Sita. And only Sita Devi is like unconditional pampering. Ram is also required. Only when there is a combination of Sita Ram, it gives rise to justice and kindness. Only kindness pampers the people. Only justice makes you brutal, because unless there is a kindness, only justice, then everybody has to be punished. Right? Lord Ram came, and there is a description beautifully. Some of the poets have written beyond what Valmiki Maharshi has explained, giving nice commentary to Valmiki Maharshi's writing. Lord Ram, he asked, "Can I see it?" Vishwamitra Muni said, "Yes, of course you can see that." And when Janak Maharaj saw the Lord Ramachandra, He saw and he was so fascinated by him. But he was shocked that itna delicate hai, itna refined hai. He doesn't look like a strongly built man, because there was a constant failure of not able to lift this Shiva Dhanusha. He was worried that my daughter would ever get married or not. He got attracted to Ram. But what is the guarantee that he is able to lift it when others cannot do it? Not only lifting it, actually you have to break that bow. Right? Ram saw that. And he asked Vishwamitra Muni, can I touch it? He said, of course you can touch it. And Ram goes and touches that. And then he's indicating, can I pick it up? Can I tie the bow? And Vishwamitra Muni was looking forward that Vashishta gave Ram Nam to our dear Ramachandra. I want to add that. I want to make it Sita Ram. Right? I want to make it Sita Ram, and I become actually Vishwamitra. And he was eager, and within no time, Lord Ramachandra picked up that bow like a small baby uproot the mushroom from the ground. Asani se seamlessly picked it up and he broke that Shiva Dhanusha. It went and made a huge sound to great Parshuramji. He realizes that my time is up now. Right? But he did not come immediately. Now Shiva Dhanusha comes down and Janak Maharaj is ecstatic. According to his vows, whoever breaks the bow, they'll marry to that personality. And Ram has no clue about this marriage. He's only interested in the bow, and he broke it. He proved his power. And when Lord Ram realizes that this is the reality, he says, this is not my issue. मैं ऐसा शादी नहीं करता हूं. I don't marry like that. He said, my family has to come here. Now, Vishwamitra Muni is also very expert. What does he do? He sends few of his associates. Janak Maharaj is excited. At the same time, is an anxiety that, oh my God, what will happen if our Dashrath Maharaj says no? But he's also very proud. What a character, what a quality he has, that he will not marry unless there is the blessings of the superiors. Right? It's a very interesting principle that love doesn't become less. Love does not become less if your family does not give you permission. But without the blessings of your family, if you marry, there is some kind of, it's your responsibility to take the blessings. Right? You cannot avoid your affection. At the same time, you cannot avoid the blessings of your superior by some means. Right? So therefore he sent, making it very clear to Dashrath Maharaj, hey, I only came here to beat up Tataka, Subau and Marich. I wanted to free all the sages from this mischief which was happening during the Yagya performance. And the message come to Dashrath Maharaj, instantly travels from Koshala Desh to the Janakpur, in Nepal, now which is in Nepal. And then the discussion between the two families, right, is so beautiful. They talk about their ancestors. Janak Maharaj talks about his ancestors. Talking about their ancestor was not a pride, rather it was a responsible legacy. हम इस परिवार के, we are part of this family. Now we have to continue the legacy of that family. That responsibility both. And then Janak Maharaj, one was the greatest of the charitable, one of the greatest Nishkama Karma Yogi. First time in his life, he tells Lord Ram, Mama Suta, my daughter, Dharmacharini Tava, she will be your follower. Dharmacharini. that whatever dharma you practice, she will follow that. He never showed any time ownership. But here he said, Meri beti, because who is her beti? She is goddess of fortune. जब आपका जो स्वाभिमान, your identity, your ownership is connected to my cycle, so small, my mirchi, my limbu, my biba, like people use it for amavasya on their car to protect their small vehicle also, right? So it is such a small identification. Mera ghar, mera scooter, mera cycle, mera beta. So he says, don't take out that mera, don't remove that mine, but just make the thing what you own a bigger. When you say my village, that means your family is also included. When he says my state, that means your village is also included. When you say my Rashtra, everything is included. Ayodhya is included. Mathura is included. Ganga is included. Jamuna is included. Tamil Nadu is included. Kashmir is included. Imagine expansion. And the same time, when you say my Ram, the entire universe is included. My Sita, my mother, my master whom I serve, everything is included in that Sita Ram, my daughter. And because of that, when they got married, instantly after their marriage, Parshuramji comes. He realized that my time is up. My time was only brutal reality of killing 21 times. But now Sita Ram's reality is an appropriate way. If there is a punishment, Sita will disappear and Ram will come. If there is a mercy, then Sita will come. And therefore the Sita Ram name, I will conclude with this, when Ravan was trying to, tell Sita that she belongs to him. I will do everything for you. Even in that condition, Sita Devi said, Hey Ravan, you stupid fellow, forget of having me. You'll be destroyed within no time. Therefore, I humbly recommend you make friendship with Ram. She didn't want to use the word surrender because she knew the ego of Ravan. Just surrender to Ram. Just become friendship with Ram, see what will happen to you. And that same Sita Devi and Hanumanji came and told her, he said, Mate, Ram has become victorious. Everything belongs to you. Ravan has been killed, his army has been defeated. Now tell me, all these demons are there. What should I do with them? How do I kill them? How do I shoot them? How do I scratch them? How do I bite them? Hanuman ji apna gussa dikhata hai. And that time, Mother Sita, first time she uses, Are bandar ke bacche, out of affection, out of great respect for Hanuman ji, but being a small child, he said, Are, he said, what do you expect of them? They're ordinary followers, my dear Hanumanji. You don't expect the majority to have their own brain. The minorities who are actually controlled and the majority follows, they are forgiven. And that is only Sita Maya can do. So therefore, Jaya Shri Ram and Sita Ram, both are appropriate, both are required. Lord Ramachandra establishes Dharma and Sita Ram establishes kindness along with that Dharma, affection along with that Dharma, prem along with that Dharma. Therefore, Yogi Ji, the Chief Minister of UP, said there is something missing. What is missing in Ayodhya? Ram Lalla is there. But in this temple, because it is a Janmastan, it is Ram's temple. We need Mother Sita also. And therefore, after Lord Ramachandra went back, when Sita Maya departed from this world, for next 11,000 years, that great Lord Ramachandra was so self-controlled. who is self-sufficient, who is the personification of Gambhirya Murti, he made the Murti of Sita Devi and always talked to her. In all yajna, Sita Devi had to be there for him to experience the completeness. Therefore, it is not Jaya Shri Ram or Sita Ram. It is Jai Shri Ram and Sita Ram. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Pretty fascinating. As we say, my Ram, we truly practice inclusiveness. We encourage you all to ask questions. You can put your questions in the chat box, either on YouTube. So, Prabhuji, we are seeing today
Yes.
that a lot of young people operate on the feeling reality, because of which there's a lot of emotional, destabilization, anxiety, depression. So how do we, bring in the fact reality or the Ram reality in our life?
And therefore, this Ram temple is that reality wherein first, if you don't have the facts of realities of facts, one of the great historian, Will Durant, explains that in some of the tribal community, when they would come out in the real world, they would stop drinking the milk of mother. As a symbolism, they were given some blood drop to drink, a human blood. Tell them that the world is very tough place, right? Other day I was talking to a young boy, and I said, what does the mother represent? What does the father represent? If you ask me, it is good to have some respectable fear of the father, right? You are not arrogant to go and communicate just the you do with your mother. You take mother for granted because she is unconditionally affectionate. And that has to be there. And not that the father should be brutal, ruthless, but there has to be some distance between the father and the child, because the world represents the father's personality. The world does not give you things unconditionally. The world does not offer you unless you ask for it, unless you fight for it. Right? So therefore, the masculine energy, which was experienced by the child through the father, and feminine energy experienced through the mother, of course she would also show some masculine energy, and father would also show some feminine energy. But basically, is their masculinity and femininity. One is the fact driven, one is the sentiments driven. When they are harmonized, then you grow in the world. Otherwise, when the feelings driven society will have a great difficulty after the coronavirus. Number of people are suffering because the anxiety has increased from 1 is to 20 is to 1 is to 5 now. And what is that? That shows that we are driven by feeling so much. The fact will remain to another place only. So therefore, people should learn this, visit Ram Lala's Mandir, study Valmiki's Ramayana, study the stories of, rather than watching the war movies, the movies of fighting, which is ultimately not real. But if you study the story of Valmiki's Ramayana, Mahabharata Vyas, the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the battlefield of Ram Ravan Yuddha, you'll experience the energy of masculinity. But because it is connected to Lord Ram, it is connected to Mother Sita, it is connected to Radharani Rukmini, the harmonization of it, of masculine and feminine will happen. We will be driven by the fact and the feeling simultaneously.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there's a question I want to know is Tulsidas ji's Ramayana based on Mayavadi? Because he doesn't seem to talk about pure devotional service.
How much those who are making such a claim, have they read the entire Tulsi's Ramayana? Or do they know actually what Mayavad philosophy is? No. So therefore, Tulsidas Ramayana is basically inspired by Hanumanji himself. If you have any understanding, if you read it properly, then you'll see there is nothing but it is in the line of Valmiki Maharshi with certain differences. And what is that core difference? That Tulsi Ramayana, basically minimizes the humanness of Lord Ramachandra because wants to glorify him as Bhagwan. But Valmiki Maharshi, what does he do? He minimizes, not minimize, not the word minimize, not a right word. He underplays the Bhagavad Tattva of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? Valmiki's Maharshi focuses on Purushartha more. And Daiva he underplays. And our Tulsidas ji has brought the concept of Daiva more. And there is a history behind this also. Because India was under the control of the foreign power, people would lose their hope. Other than the valorous warriors, right? Those who are fighter, they focused on Purushartha, but the general crowd had to have some relief, some solace, some comforting. So when you have nothing to comfort you, the philosophy of Daiva is the greatest medicine, right? The karma theory is the greatest medicine, but it is time bound. It is not an eternal principle. You have to rise to the occasion. You have to pick up your weapons. You have to pick up yourself together and fight, because ultimately, Purushartha and Daiva is harmonized. So therefore, we can never undermine the contribution of Tulsidas in protecting the legacy of Lord Ram in the northern part of India.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Wait, there's a question. Some demoniac people, they chant Jai Shri Ram, and the chanting sounds scary. However, they tolerate Allahu Akbar. How should we respond to such people?
No, I didn't get what you said.
So there are some demoniac people who chant the mantra Jai Shri Ram. At the same time, they tolerate the chanting of Allahu Akbar.
How can those who chant Jai Shri Rama can be demonic? Those who are, the people feel like that sometimes. Those who chant Jai Shri Ram, they are called as, radical, toxic Hindus. They're chanting Jai Shri Ram. Yeah, there are people. See, the philosophy of Sanatan Dharma can never be toxic. The people can be toxic, right? People can be unruly. People could be, very, undisciplined. That is possible. But the name itself, the entire Ramayana, if you read, then can you call Lord Rama, how can he kill 14,000 people like that? That's not fair. Or how can he kill so many people on the battlefield? That's not fair. No, battle is the reality of human existence. Even the recorded history of 3,500 or 4,000, only 10% of the time is a peace. And one of the philosophers explains this peace, a material equilibrium, is a very artificial for human existence. It doesn't exist there. It should not exist. There has to be a facility for one to, have a cultural valor, right? A cultural valor is very important for a person to grow nicely. So therefore, the Jai Shri Ram is an important Nara which gave the confidence to the followers of Sanatan Dharma. And many of them, some of them, may not be well trained, unruly, right? But this ground, at the people at the ground level only, they created a revolution, right? The people fought on the court, but people who were in the ground level of reality, they also did. So therefore, if you have a issue with Jai Sri Ram, then you should have an issue of people, chanting any other names of God with the spirit of I will destroy you, I am the greatest, you know. So therefore, it is an important principle to understand that, therefore, as I said, we need Ram and we need Sita Ram to understand, and we need Rama and Valmiki Maharshi to become not ruly but heroic, not cruel but assertive, you know, to have masculine quality but not at the cost of feminine nature also. That harmony between masculine and feminine for both for men and women, right? That helps us to grow nicely, to maintain your civilization and maintain the growth of your atma also.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, in the Jain community and the Buddhist sect, they have their own version of Ramayana, where Lord Ram is portrayed more as a non-violent person. What are your thoughts about it?
Again, you have to study the history, because when this both religion, centered around, their particular personalities, when you are preaching in Bharat, you need Ramayana and Mahabharata. You can't do without it, right? So they use the same personalities. They changed little bit here and there, to send their messages through Ramayana, because it is very powerful. Now also, people like so-called authors who try to write on Ramayana, want to spread their own message. They use the character. They try to make Sita what they want to make. They want to make Sita, who is very oppressed woman, to spread their feminine, their the feminist movement. And there are people who, to prove their socialist movement, their communist movement, their different movements, people use the stories most of the time wrongly, not necessarily rightly. Therefore, the reference point for us, studying these stories is Valmiki's Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. These are the three shastras. They are the reference point. So anything which is not in accordance with the Siddhantic realities of this scripture, then we will not be able to accept them for what they are. Okay.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Yeah. We'll stop here and we will see tomorrow to study the governance of Ayodhya, a very fascinating part of the Valmiki's Ramayana. Thank you for your kind attention. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.